I was sitting in a hospital room at 11 o'clock at night, holding my mother's hand, even though she'd been gone for 3 hours. The nurse had told me twice already that I needed to leave. They had to prepare the body. I knew that. I understood. But I couldn't make myself let go. My phone sat on the table beside me, screen dark except for the notifications I kept dismissing. 23 missed calls to my wife, Rebecca. 23 times I'd needed her to answer. 23 times the call had gone to voicemail. "Mr. Mitchell?" The nurse stood in the doorway again, her voice softer this time. "I'm sorry, but we really need to—" My phone buzzed. Finally, I grabbed it so fast I nearly dropped it. A text from Becca. "I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. I'm going to Paris. Tyler bought me a ticket. I'm at the airport now. Don't call me." I read it twice, 3 times. The words didn't change. I looked up at the nurse, who was watching me with concern now, not just professional patience. "My wife just—" I couldn't finish the sentence. My throat had closed up. "She's gone. She left." "Left the hospital?" the nurse asked. I shook my head. "Left everything." If you've ever lost 2 people in the same day, one to death, one to choice, you might understand what happened next. I don't remember the drive home. I don't remember parking. I just remember standing in our bedroom, looking at the half-empty closet and thinking that the hangers looked like skeletal fingers reaching for something that was already gone. There was a note on the kitchen counter, handwritten, which somehow made it worse. Her handwriting was always so careful, so pretty. "Jake, I know the timing is awful. I know you'll hate me, but I've been unhappy for so long. Tyler and I reconnected last year. He makes me feel alive again. I can't be the wife you need. I can't be in this town, this life anymore. I'm sorry about your mom. I really am, but I have to choose me this time. B." I folded the note in half, then in half again, then kept folding until it was too thick to fold anymore. Then I put it in the drawer with the other things I didn't know what to do with. Dead batteries, instruction manuals for appliances we'd thrown away, a marriage that had apparently ended months ago, and I'd been too stupid to notice. The funeral was the next day, small military honors, the way Mom would have wanted it. The Marines who'd served with her showed up in dress blues. They folded the flag with the precision that only comes from doing something 100 times, 1,000 times. When they handed it to me, I thought about how Mom used to say that the military taught you the most important things: honor, duty, loyalty, and that some people had those things in their bones, and some people just wore the uniform. I wondered which one I was, which one Becca had been. My sister Linda found me after the service, her face tight with anger. "Where's Rebecca? How could you let her miss this?" "I didn't let her do anything," I said. My voice sounded far away, like it belonged to someone else. "She chose to leave." "What did you do, Jacob?" That was the question everyone kept asking in different ways. What did I do? What did I do to make my wife leave me the day my mother died? What had I done to deserve this? I didn't have an answer, not one that would satisfy anyone, including myself. 3 days later, I sat in attorney Paula Martinez's office, listening to her explain my mother's will. I wasn't really listening. I was thinking about how Mom's office at the VA hospital was probably already being cleaned out, how someone else would sit at her desk, use her coffee mug, hang their own photos on the wall where she'd kept pictures of me in my Marine uniform. "Jacob?" Paula's voice cut through. "Are you hearing this?" "Sorry, what?" "Your mother updated her will 2 months ago. She left specific instructions." Paula slid an envelope across the desk. My name was written on it in Mom's handwriting, bolder than Becca's, more sure. "She told me to give you this when Rebecca shows her true colors." Those were her exact words. Something cold slid down my spine. She knew. Mothers always know. Paula's expression was gentle but firm. "There's more. Your mother set up a trust, about $50,000 from her life insurance and savings. But there are conditions attached." I took the envelope. It was heavier than I expected. "What kind of conditions?" "Read the letter first, then we'll talk." I waited until I was home, until it was dark, until I'd drunk enough coffee that my hands were shaking, or maybe they were shaking for other reasons. Then I opened the envelope. The letter started, "Jake, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and I'm guessing Rebecca is too." I had to stop reading, had to breathe. How long had Mom known? How long had she watched me play house with a woman who was already halfway out the door? I kept reading. "But you're not alone. Do you remember Sarah Chen, David's widow? The young woman with the little girl at the VA hospital. Jake, I need you to call her. She needs you. And son, whether you know it yet or not, you need them too. There's something I never told you about the last 2 years. The letter went on. It explained things I didn't want to know and answered questions I'd been too afraid to ask. By the time I finished reading, it was past midnight, and I understood that my mother had been playing a longer game than I'd ever imagined. She'd known about Becca and Tyler for 18 months. She'd hired a private investigator. She'd watched my marriage disintegrate while preparing something else entirely. Not a safety net, a new foundation. And the foundation had a name, Sarah Chen. The next week passed in a fog. I went back to teaching. I'm a high school history teacher, had been for 6 years since I left the Marines. But I could barely remember what I'd said in class. My colleagues were kind but awkward. They'd heard about Rebecca. Small towns are like that. Everyone knows everything, and they all have opinions about it. You okay, man? Coach Dennis caught me in the parking lot after school, 3 days after the funeral. He was former Marine too, had known my mom through the Veterans Network. I'm fine. You look like hell. Thanks, Dennis. Really helpful. He put a hand on my shoulder. Your mom would want you to talk to someone. Don't. The word came out sharper than I meant it to. Please, just don't tell me what my mom would want. Everyone keeps telling me what she would want, and I can't. He nodded, let me go. But I could feel him watching as I drove away. That night, I broke. I poured myself a drink, bourbon, the expensive stuff Mom had kept for special occasions, which was ironic because now every day was simultaneously the worst day and completely meaningless. By the third drink, I was looking at my phone, at the number Mom had written in her letter, Sarah Chen. I barely remembered her. A young woman at the VA hospital, always looked tired. A little girl with dark hair who'd clung to Mom's leg like Mom was the only stable thing in the world. David Chen. Marine. Killed in action 2 years ago. Mom had gone to his funeral, had cried, which she almost never did. I called the number before I could talk myself out of it. It rang 4 times. I was about to hang up when a woman's voice answered, cautious and tired. Hello? Hi, this is Jake Mitchell, Margaret Mitchell's son. She left me your number. The voice changed immediately, went softer. Jake. Oh, Jake, I'm so sorry. I wanted to come to the funeral, but Emma was sick, and I didn't want to intrude, and it's okay. I closed my eyes. Can I ask you something? Did my mom ever talk to you about me? A pause. Yes, a lot, actually. Did she tell you about my wife? Another pause, longer this time. She told me your marriage was struggling. She was worried about you. My wife left. The words came out flat, clinical, like I was reporting someone else's tragedy. The day Mom died. She's in Paris now, with her ex-boyfriend. Oh my God, Jake. Mom's letter said I should call you, that you need me and I need you. I don't understand. We barely know each other. She was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was thick with tears. I think your mom knew something we didn't yet. Jake, would you want to come by for coffee tomorrow? I'd like to explain some things, and I think Emma would like to meet you properly. She keeps asking about Miss Maggie's son, the Marine. I should have said no. Should have told her I was a mess, that I wasn't good company, that I didn't understand what my mother had been thinking putting us together like this. But instead, I heard myself say, okay, tomorrow. What time? 10. Is that too early? No, that's fine. Jake? She hesitated. I'm going to make something special, something your mom taught me. I think you'll understand when you see it. I didn't sleep that night. I kept reading Mom's letter over and over, trying to decode what she'd seen that I couldn't, trying to understand how, in the worst week of my life, she'd managed to give me something I didn't even know I needed. At 9:30 the next morning, I stood outside a small house near the base, holding flowers I'd bought at the grocery store because I didn't know what else to bring. Before I could knock, the door opened. A little girl stood there, maybe 5 years old, clutching a stuffed rabbit. She looked up at me with huge brown eyes. Are you Miss Maggie's Jake? She asked. I knelt down so we were at eye level. I am. You must be Emma. She nodded solemnly. Mommy's making pancakes. Miss Maggie taught her. The word hit me like a punch. Pancakes. Sunday morning pancakes had been our thing, mine and Mom's, for as long as I could remember. Even after I grew up and moved out. Even after I got married, I'd go over for Sunday pancakes. Mom had a specific way of making them, a recipe she said came from her grandmother. She'd never written it down. Said some things you had to learn by doing, by watching, by being there. I followed Emma into the house. The smell hit me first. Butter, vanilla, something sweet and yeasty that I would have recognized blind. Sarah Chen stood at the stove, her back to me, flipping pancakes with the exact same wrist motion my mother had used. Same rhythm, same precision. She turned when she heard us, and I saw that she'd been crying. "Jake, hi, I'm sorry, She gestured at her face, then at the stove. "This always makes me emotional. Your mom spent 3 weeks teaching me these. She said, 'Sarah, when you can't think, when grief is too heavy, make pancakes. The routine helps, and Emma needs to see you function.'" I couldn't speak. I just stood there, watching this woman I barely knew make my mother's pancakes in her modest kitchen while her daughter, David Chen's daughter, colored at the table. "I probably messed them up," Sarah said, plating them. "Your mom made it look so easy, but I always—" "No." The word came out rough. "They're perfect. You're doing it exactly right." We sat down to eat. It was awkward at first, all of us tiptoeing around the massive thing we had in common. We'd all lost someone. Emma had lost her father. Sarah had lost her husband. I'd lost my mother. And in a different way, I'd lost my wife. Though I was starting to think I'd never really had her to begin with. But the pancakes helped. Shared grief helped. And slowly Sarah started talking. She told me about David, about how they'd married young, had Emma right away, how he'd been the center of their universe, about how he'd deployed when Emma was 2, how he died 6 months into a 12-month deployment, about how she'd fallen apart so completely that she'd forgotten how to be a person, let alone a mother. "That's when your mom found me," Sarah said. "I was at the VA trying to apply for benefits, and I just broke down right there in the waiting room. Emma was screaming, I was sobbing, and this nurse came over and just took charge. That was Maggie." Emma looked up from her coloring. "Miss Maggie gave me crackers," she said, "and a stuffed bunny, this bunny." She held up the rabbit she'd been carrying. "Your mom didn't just help me with paperwork," Sarah continued. "She saved us. She'd show up at 6 a.m. with coffee and drag me to therapy. She'd watch Emma when I couldn't stop crying. She taught me how to be a single mom, how to survive. And when I was finally functional again, when I could breathe without feeling like I was drowning, she taught me how to make pancakes. She said some things are better than therapy." I looked at Emma's drawing. She'd been working on it the whole time we talked, not paying attention to us, or maybe paying attention to everything. It was a picture of a family, her and Sarah, just the two of them. The colors were dark, muted, like the picture itself was grieving. "Jake?" Sarah's voice pulled me back. "Your mom's letter, did she tell you about the promise?" I nodded. "She said David asked her to watch over you, that she promised him she would." "He did, right before he deployed." Sarah's eyes filled. "He had this feeling. He wouldn't say it out loud, but I could tell. He made your mom promise that if something happened, she wouldn't let us be alone, that military families take care of their own. And she did, for 2 years. Even when she got sick, even when she must have known she didn't have much time left, she was still checking on us, still calling, still showing up." Sarah wiped her eyes. "And then she asked me to do something. About a month before she died, she said, 'Sarah, I'm going to ask my son to look after you when I'm gone. Don't be scared. He's a good man. He's going to need you as much as you need him.'" The kitchen was very quiet. Emma had stopped coloring. "I didn't understand what she meant," Sarah said. "Not until I heard about Rebecca. I'm sorry, Jake. I'm so sorry." I pulled out Mom's letter, the one I'd been carrying around like a talisman. "Can I read you something?" She nodded. I read the whole thing out loud, about how Mom had known about Becca and Tyler, about how she'd watched my marriage disintegrate, about how she'd been preparing something else, something better, about the trust and its conditions, that I had to use part of it to support Sarah and Emma's education and stability for at least 1 year. When I finished, Sarah was crying openly. "Jake, you don't have to do any of this. The trust, the obligation. Your mom shouldn't have put that on you." "She was right," I said, "about all of it. I just didn't see it until now. But we're strangers. So were you and Mom once." Emma suddenly spoke up, her voice small but clear. "Are you going to leave too?" We both turned to look at her. She was staring at me with those huge brown eyes, and I realized she'd heard everything. Every word about death and leaving and people not staying. I got up and knelt beside her chair. "No," I said, "I'm not going anywhere." "Promise?" she whispered. I looked at Sarah. She was watching us with an expression I couldn't quite name. Fear and hope tangled together so tightly they were the same thing. "Yeah, kiddo," I told Emma. "I promise." Emma picked up her drawing and held it out to me. She'd added something while we were talking, a third figure, drawn in bright red crayon, standing between her and Sarah. "This is you," she said. "You're the red because Miss Maggie said you're brave like Daddy was. Mommy said Daddy's not coming back. But Miss Maggie said you would come." She looked up at me and her lip trembled. "Are you staying?" I took the drawing. The red figure she'd drawn had something on its wrist. She'd colored it carefully, trying to get the details right. It was my MIA bracelet, the one Mom had given me when I enlisted. "Missing in action," it read. "A memorial for those who never came home." "Yeah," I said, my voice breaking. "I'm staying." That was the beginning. I want to tell you, it was simple after that, but it wasn't. Nothing about grief or healing or building a family from broken pieces is ever simple. But I started showing up. That's what Mom's letter had really been about, I realized. Not obligation, not charity, just showing up. I picked Emma up from kindergarten when Sarah had to work late. The first day, the other parents stared. The teacher asked who I was, and I stumbled through an explanation. "Family friend, Sarah called, she's running late." By the third week, Emma would run to me, yelling, "Jake!" And the other kids started calling me Emma's Marine. I helped with homework, sat through the frustrating battles with phonics and basic math. When Emma threw her pencil across the room and yelled, "I'm stupid," I used my Marine voice, the one that was firm but not angry. "Hey, no, you're learning. There's a difference. You know what Marines say? We don't quit. We don't leave a mission unfinished." "Even if it's hard?" she asked, tears streaming down her face. "Especially if it's hard." At night, after Emma was asleep, Sarah and I would sit at the kitchen table and talk. About David, about Becca, about Mom, about how strange it was to have our lives rearranged by someone who wasn't there anymore. One night, after I'd been coming around for about a month, Sarah said, "Jake, you've been here every day. Don't you have your own life?" "This is my life," I said, "unless you want me to back off." "No, God, no." She played with her coffee mug, not looking at me. "I just don't want you to feel obligated. The trust, your Mom's letter, this isn't about the trust anymore." "Then what is it about?" "I like being here. Emma makes me feel useful again." "And me?" She finally looked up. "How do I make you feel?" I was honest. "Less alone." We almost kissed that night. We were standing at the door, saying goodbye, and the air between us was charged with something I didn't have a name for. But then Emma called out from her bedroom. She'd had a nightmare, and the moment passed. But other moments came. The night the divorce papers arrived, I brought them to Sarah's house. I was shaking so hard I could barely hold them. "Do you still love her?" Sarah asked. "I don't know. I love who I thought she was, but that person, maybe she never existed." Sarah stood up, came around the table. "David used to say something. He'd say, 'Love is a choice, not a feeling. Feelings come and go,' he'd tell me. But choosing to stay, that's love. Becca chose to go, and you chose to stay, with us." This time, when we almost kissed, Emma didn't interrupt. But I pulled back anyway. "I don't want to rush this," I said. "You and Emma, you're too important." 3 months in, Father Thomas O'Brien stopped by Sarah's house. He'd been checking in on Sarah regularly since David's death, and he found me there, on the floor, playing board games with Emma. Later, he pulled me aside. "You're doing a good thing here, son. I'm just helping out. You're doing more than that. You're becoming a father. That's a sacred calling, blood or not. What if I mess it up? Jacob, you show up. You stay. That's already more than most." He paused. "But I need to warn you. People are talking. About whether this is appropriate. A single man, a married woman. I'm getting divorced, and Sarah's a widow. I know, but small towns have small minds sometimes. Just be careful, for Emma's sake." But being careful only went so far, because I was falling in love with both of them, with Emma's gap-toothed smile and the way she'd grab my hand when we crossed the street. with Sarah's quiet strength and the way she laughed at my terrible jokes, with the feeling of having a purpose again. Emma's 6th birthday was when everything changed. I'd organized the whole thing, looked up ideas online, bought decorations, ordered a cake. Sarah had invited a few of Emma's school friends, and Coach Dennis came with his wife, and Father Thomas stopped by. Emma opened presents, books and dolls, and art supplies. When she got to mine, she went quiet. It was a journal, hardbound, with her name embossed on the cover. I'd written inside, "For your drawings and your words, love, Jake." She hugged me so hard I could barely breathe, and then she said, very quietly, "Can I call you something else? The other kids have daddies. I don't. Can I?" She didn't finish, too scared to ask the question out loud. My throat closed up. "You can call me whatever feels right, sweetheart." "Okay," she whispered. "Thanks, Jake." But I could see she wanted to say something else. Could see the word caught in her throat. Later, after everyone left, Sarah found me outside. I was crying, trying to hide it. "She wanted to call you Dad," Sarah said softly. I could see it. I'm not her dad. David died 2 years ago. Emma barely remembers him. You've been here every day for 3 months. You are her dad now, Jake. The question is, do you want to be? I went home that night and sat with that question. Looked at the divorce papers I still hadn't signed. Looked at the photo of Becca I still kept on the mantle because I didn't know what else to do with it. Looked at the MIA bracelet on my wrist. I thought about what Mom had written. We don't leave our people behind. Emma needed a father, Sarah needed a partner, and I needed them. Needed to be needed, needed to matter, needed to be someone's person. The next day I went to a jewelry store, bought 2 things, a simple bracelet for Emma, child-sized with a small heart charm, and a necklace for Sarah, delicate silver with 2 intertwined rings. That night at dinner, I gave Emma her bracelet. "This is so you know you're not alone," I told her. "You're not missing anymore. You're found. You're mine, if you want to be." She was crying, but smiling. "I want to be yours." Then she said it, whispered into my shoulder as she hugged me. "Daddy." The word broke something open in my chest, something that had been locked up tight since the day Mom died, since the day Becca left. I held Emma and cried and felt Sarah's arms come around both of us. Later, I gave Sarah the necklace. "I know this is fast," I said. "I know we're still figuring things out, but I need you to know. I'm not going anywhere. I gestured around us, at the kitchen where we'd eaten 100 meals, at the drawings on the fridge, at the life we'd been building without quite meaning to. "This is my family now, if you'll have me. Jake, are you sure? We're a lot. We're complicated. So am I. But we fit. Don't we?" She kissed me then. Really kissed me. And it felt like the first honest thing that had happened in a year. That night, lying in bed alone in my own house, I finally felt like I could breathe. Like I'd found something I didn't even know I'd lost. My phone buzzed, an email from Becca. Subject: "We need to talk. Jake, I made a mistake. Paris isn't what I thought. Tyler and I broke up. I want to come home. I want to fix us. I'm flying back next week. Please don't do anything crazy before we talk. I still love you. Becca." I stared at the email for a long time, felt my heart rate pick up, felt old patterns trying to reassert themselves, the urge to fix things, to try harder, to be enough. Then I thought about Emma calling me Daddy, about Sarah's kiss, about the pancakes on Sunday mornings and the homework battles and the feeling of being needed. I deleted the email and blocked Becca's address, but that didn't stop her from coming back. She showed up at my house a week later, unannounced, let herself in with the key she apparently still had. I was there with Emma, Sarah had a doctor's appointment, and we were coloring at the kitchen table. "Jake," Becca said from the doorway. "Hi." I stood up fast, putting myself between her and Emma. "Becca, you should have called." "I did. You blocked me." She looked at Emma. "Oh, who's this?" "I'm Emma," Emma said, peeking out from behind me. "Babysitting?" "Something like that." "Emma, why don't you go draw in the living room for a minute?" Emma left, but I could see her shadow in the hallway, listening. "I'm sorry," Becca said, "and I'll give her this." She looked sorry, looked tired and sad and lost. "I know I hurt you, but Paris was a mistake. Tyler was a mistake. I want to come home." "This isn't your home anymore. We're still married. You filed for divorce." I can withdraw it, we can go to counseling, start over. Jake, please, I miss you. Why now? I asked. Why not 3 months ago? Why not the day of my mother's funeral? She broke down crying. Because I was scared, because I was stupid, because I ran away and I'm sorry, but I'm here now. I'm choosing you now. You left me the day my mother died, I said, and my voice was steady even though my hands were shaking. You went to Paris with another man. You posted pictures of yourself smiling while I was burying her. I know, I'm terrible. But people make mistakes. Don't you believe in forgiveness? Your mom would have... Don't. The word came out hard. Don't you dare use my mother. She saw the photo on the counter then. The one of Sarah and Emma and me that someone had taken at Emma's birthday party. Who is this? She asked. Jake, are you seeing someone? That's none of your business. Oh my God, you are. That's her, isn't it? The woman with the kid. How long have you been cheating on me? I never cheated. You don't get to... So what? The second I leave, you move on? Replace me with some widow and her kid. God, that's fast, Jake. Even for you. Get out. I'm not giving up on us. I'll fight for you. But fighting was exactly what she did. Over the next week, she called my sister Linda, spinning a story about how I'd abandoned her for another woman. She posted vague messages on social media. Sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone. Fighting for my marriage. She showed up at the school where I taught and made a scene in the parking lot. She sent Sarah threatening messages. Stay away from my husband. Sarah was terrified. Jake, maybe we should slow down. I don't want Emma caught in this. No, I said. We're not slowing down. We're not hiding. Becca doesn't get to control us. Then Becca's lawyer sent a letter. It claimed I was in an inappropriate relationship and suggested I was exposing a minor child to an unstable living situation, threatened to involve Child Protective Services. Paula, my attorney, was blunt. This is a scare tactic. She has no grounds. But, Jake, are you ready for this to get ugly? What's she after? Money? The house? Control. She wants you to chase her. And when you don't, she wants to punish you. The CPS visit was the worst part. A social worker came to Sarah's house, following up on an anonymous complaint. She interviewed us all, looked at Emma's bedroom, checked the fridge. The report claims a man is living here without proper background checks, around a minor child, the social worker said. He's not living here, Sarah said, panicked. He's a family friend. I can provide military discharge papers, I said. Teacher background clearance. References from... Is Jake in trouble? Emma interrupted, coming into the room. He didn't do anything wrong. He takes care of us. The social worker looked at Emma, then at the drawings on the fridge. The one labeled Forever Family showed all three of us, holding hands. I can see this is a loving home, the social worker said, gentler now. But I need to document everything properly. Mr. Mitchell, what is your relationship to this child? I looked at Emma, at Sarah. We're not blood related, but I'm her family. Are you seeking any legal guardianship? Sarah and I looked at each other. We hadn't talked about it, hadn't let ourselves go there yet. After the social worker left, after she'd cleared us of any concerns, Sarah was shaking. Jake, this is too much. Becca's going to keep coming after us. Maybe it's better if you step back, just until your divorce is final. No, Jake, I'm not leaving. That's what she wants. For me to run, to hide, to prove I'm not committed. But I am Sarah. I want to adopt Emma, officially. Sarah stared at me. What? If we're going to be a family, let's be a family, legally, permanently, so no one can question it. So Emma is protected. Jake, that's forever. I know, that's the point. You want to adopt me? Emma's voice came from the doorway again. How much had she heard this time? I knelt down. More than anything, kiddo. She ran to me, wrapped her arms around my neck, and said, Daddy, over and over like it was a magic word that could make it real. Father Thomas hosted what he called a family meeting at the church. Invited me, Sarah, Becca, who surprisingly showed up, and some community members who knew us all. Becca made her case. I'm not a monster. I made mistakes. But Jake is making a bigger one. He's using my grief and absence to replace me. That child isn't his. That woman isn't his wife. I am. You were my wife, I said. You chose to leave. You don't get to come back and destroy what I've built. My sister Linda was there, torn between us. Jake, is this really about them, or is this about getting back at Becca? This is about choosing family, real family. Sarah and Emma don't run when things get hard. They stay. Coach Dennis stood up. I've watched Jake with that little girl. I've seen him at school pickup, at birthday parties. He shows up. That's more than most blood fathers do. But he's not her father, Becca shouted. Sarah stood then, and her voice was shaking but clear. No, David was her father. David died serving this country, and before he left, he asked Jake's mother to watch over us. Maggie kept that promise, and when she died, she asked Jake to keep it going. He's honoring two fallen heroes by loving my daughter. That's not replacement. That's legacy. The room was silent. Father Thomas looked at Becca. Rebecca, I think you need to decide. Do you want Jacob back, or do you want to win? Because you can't have both. But Becca didn't give up. She filed a motion to delay the divorce, claiming reconciliation attempt in progress. She filed a complaint with the school board about my conduct. I was put on administrative leave pending investigation. If they find against you, Paula warned, you could lose your job, which means you lose stability, which means you can't adopt Emma. She's trying to destroy my credibility as a parent. Yes, we need character witnesses, we need evidence, and we need to be ready. They're going to come after Sarah too. The school board hearing was on a Thursday. I made pancakes that morning. Our good luck breakfast, Emma called it. She wore her bracelet, I wore mine. The board asked their questions. I answered honestly. Yes, Sarah and I were in a relationship. Yes, I was seeking to adopt Emma. Yes, I was still technically married, but only because my wife was delaying proceedings out of spite, not love. Coach Dennis testified. Father Thomas testified. Emma's kindergarten teacher, Miss Rodriguez, testified. Emma has blossomed since Jake came into her life. Whatever he's doing, it's working. They cleared me, reinstated me immediately. The board chair even said, "For what it's worth, Mr. Mitchell, good luck with the adoption." The divorce was finalized 2 weeks later. Becca's delay motion was denied. She sent one last text. I hope you're happy with your fake family. I blocked her number and didn't look back. 3 months after that, we stood in family court. Me, Sarah, and Emma. Paula presented the case. I'd been Emma's primary father figure for 9 months. Sarah supported the adoption. Emma's biological father was deceased. Judge Reynolds was a kind older woman who'd probably seen every variation of family that existed. Emma, she said, can you come up here, please? Emma walked to the bench, nervous but brave. Do you understand what's happening today? Jake wants to be my daddy, for real. And is that what you want? Yes, he never leaves. He makes pancakes, he helps with homework, he reads stories, he stays. The judge noticed Emma's bracelet. That's pretty. What does it mean? Jake gave it to me. It means I'm not lost anymore. I'm found. After reviewing the documents, Judge Reynolds looked at me. Mr. Mitchell, adopting a child is a lifetime commitment. There's no going back. Are you prepared for that? Your Honor, I've been preparing for this my whole life. My mother taught me that we don't leave our people behind. Emma is my people, forever. Then by the power vested in me, I grant this adoption. Emma Chen is now Emma Mitchell. Congratulations. Emma ran to me, jumped into my arms, shouted, "Daddy!" loud enough for the whole courthouse to hear. 6 months after that, we moved into a new house. Small, but ours. We used money from Mom's trust and my savings. It had 3 bedrooms and a yard where Emma could play. On our first Sunday morning there, I made pancakes. The same recipe Mom had taught Sarah, that Sarah had taught me. Emma set the table. Sarah poured juice. It was ordinary, perfectly, beautifully ordinary. Can we go to the park after breakfast? Emma asked. Only if you beat me at Go Fish, I said. I always beat you, Daddy. You're bad at cards. The doorbell rang. A delivery, a package from Linda. Inside was a wooden sign. The Mitchell family, Est 2024. And a note. I'm sorry I doubted you. This is real. This is family, love, your sister. We hung the sign by the front door. That night, I read Emma her bedtime story. When I finished, she said, Daddy, can I ask you something? Always. Do you miss your old wife, the one who left? I was honest with her, the way I tried to be about everything. Sometimes I miss who I thought she was, but no, sweetheart, I don't miss her. Do you think she misses you? Maybe, But it doesn't matter anymore. Because you have us now? Because I have you and Mommy. That's what matters. She was quiet for a moment, then said, "We don't leave, right?" "That's right, baby. Mitchells don't leave. I'm a Mitchell now. You always were. We just made it official." I sat on the porch steps later that night, watching Sarah and Emma play in the yard. Emma wore her bracelet. I wore mine. The MIA bracelet Mom had given me all those years ago, and the matching one I'd given Emma, missing in action, no longer. If you'd told me a year ago that my wife would leave me, my mom would die, and I'd end up adopting a stranger's kid, I'd have said you were crazy. But here's what I learned. Family isn't who you're born to. It's who shows up, who stays when staying is hard, who chooses you every single day. Becca chose Paris, chose herself, chose to leave. Sarah chose to stay. Emma chose to trust. And I chose to let myself be chosen. My mom knew. Somehow she knew. That letter wasn't just about helping Sarah and Emma. It was about saving me from a life of chasing someone who was always going to run and giving me a life with people who know what it means to stay. That Sunday morning, when I walked out of the hospital after losing Mom, I thought I'd lost everything. Turns out, I was just making room for what I really needed. We have pancakes every Sunday now, Emma insists. Says they taste like Grandma Maggie's love. And you know what? She's right. Some families are born, some are made. Mine was left to me, in a letter, by a woman who understood that the best inheritance isn't money or property. It's people, the right people, the ones who stay. Emma ran over to me then, and I picked her up. Sarah joined us on the porch. We went inside together, and the door closed behind us. On the sign that read, "The Mitchell Family." We don't leave our people behind, because family isn't about who left. It's about who stayed.